Joey was the first of 4 red-tailed hawks we got all around the same time. He was found in Franklin, Tennessee on the side of the road. He had been hit by a car, and he had some pretty significant facial and head trauma. His eye was swollen shut, the top of his head was swollen, he had a pretty good cut across the top of his cere, which is right over his beak. He was found on the side of the road by James Lundquist, who sat with him for about 3 hours until help arrived. Officer Joe LeCates from the city of Franklin came and responded and brought Joey to us. He met us halfway after his shift was over and brought him down to Murfreesboro, where we picked him up. You can see there he's got some blood around his face, and that cut is on the left side right next to his eye. The swelling went down fairly quickly with the medications and just some good rest. His feathers were all in a mess. He was in a rough state. He had taken a pretty hard hit to the head. We've had several birds that have had head trauma, so we really watched him carefully just to make sure, and he slept a lot, and this is indicative of what happens with a head trauma injury like that. But now it didn't take long before Joey started to recover. After about 7 or 8 days indoors, he moved to his outdoor enclosure to start his recovery to get his flight strength back. And as you can see there, he's got his wings out. He wasn't really sure what to make of it inside that enclosure. And you'll see here in this video, this is the first day that we put him in. And he doesn't quite know what to make of it. He's been inside now for about 8 days. He's just had a pretty nasty blow to the head. And now he's just getting used to where he's going to be recovering at. So he's looking around, trying to find, where should I be standing? What should I be doing? So he just does a few pirouettes here as he looks around and takes it in. So like I said, he was one of 4 that we caught all around the same time. All of them had different injuries. Joey's was the worst by far, so we ended up keeping him the longest. He stayed with us about 3 months before we finally were able to release him. The other 3 were released before he was. But Joey stayed back there in his enclosure, and he got his flight strength back. He started doing really well, and we started working with him almost like we would a falconry bird. Since he was going to be a little bit slower on the uptake, we wanted to make sure his hunting instincts were good, and so we started working with him just like we would any other bird that we were training to hunt. So he was trained to a whistle, and he took to it fairly quickly, but he did struggle a little bit. With a head injury like that, it does take a little bit longer for them to regain that instinct and kind of get rid of the fog of the injury. So we decided to put some gear on him, and we started using him to fly, and he flew great. There was nothing wrong with his wings, thank goodness. Most of the recovery that he had to do was just from his head. It just took time. As you can see there, he's not real sure about the camera, but he was a really fun bird to work with. He really took to the falconry training very quickly. As you can see there, he's looking for food in the glove. We didn't put food in the glove. He had to go find it. But he did fantastic, and over the course of this time, we worked with him just about every day. And it took a little while just to make sure that he still had that instinct and that his grip was good and that he could sneak up on prey, and he did pretty well. But right there at the end, he really picked it up again, and we could tell there was a switch that flipped and he was ready to go. And as you can see there, all of his feathers laid back down. They were all back in place. The head swelling had gone down, and we just knew that he was ready to go. His injury reminded us of some other birds that we've had with significant head trauma, like Journey. When she was hit by a train, we had her for a very long time, and she finally recovered. And so Joey did too, and you can see there the swelling has gone down in his head. That cut above his cere has healed up nicely. His hunting instinct was great, and so it was time for Freedom Day. So just about 3 months after we got him, we found a nice field not too far from our house, and we took him out there, and he was a little timid to come out of the box at first. We had been working with him for about 90 days or so, and so he had gotten used to us, but he was still plenty wild. So once Valerie slid the base out of the enclosure, as you can see there, he took right off, and he was ready to be free. He went right up into that nice white oak right there, and there's a couple of mockingbirds, or it might be a tufted titmouse that's going to come out here, and they're not happy he's in his tree. Now here's another angle. As you can see, he doesn't really want to come out just yet, but once Valerie slides that floor plate out, you'll see he comes flying out. There he goes. So right adjacent to this is a big open field, and there's some open farmland, and it all empties out towards just a large area of woods back there. So he's going to have plenty of room to hunt, plenty of places to go and establish his territory and be a hawk again. We're very excited for Joey to be back out there. So that behavior there is called a rouse, and they usually do that when they're getting comfortable, when they're not threatened, they're happy. As you can see, Joey is, and he's going to have a little itch here after that bird buzzes his head. He's going to scratch his face. So he's just doing all of these interesting behaviors all right here in front of us right after he gets out. Now he's acting a lot like he was when we first put him out in the cage. He's looking around. He's like, oh look, there's no roof over me this time. There's nothing but open sky. He hops around on a few branches. And we want to say a big thank you to James and Officer Joe from Franklin Police Department for your help. Without what you did, Joey would not be here with us flying free and doing all the things that a hawk can do. So we really appreciate you for caring and taking care of him until we could get him. So thank you very much for that. So good luck, Joey. I hope y'all enjoyed watching today, and we'll see you next time.